the short-term gain, and now what? What's going to happen in the long term? How long is he going to be out? How serious is that knee? Did he do further damage by playing? You know, I'll look at this when the Falcons came to Philadelphia in the week opener, in the season opener. Keanu Neal, their safety, tremendous safety. He looked like he hyperextended his left knee, and he went out of the game for about a quarter. And then they put him back in, and he ended up tearing the ACL in that left knee just by simply making a cut on the field. And now he's out for the season. And I'm wondering, like, what, was the hyperextension earlier? Did that kind of stretch the ligament? Did that lead to him tearing the ACL? And, you know, now he's out for the year. So I'm not sure what the case is with Aaron Rodgers. I don't know what's going on with that knee. But, yeah, I think that was a mistake. You know, I think it was wrong to put him back in the game because, look, it's week 1. Do you really want to win week 1 and risk losing Aaron Rodgers for the next, 2 weeks or 3, whatever it is? So I think it was a mistake. But, listen, when Aaron Rodgers is in your ear saying, I can play, just give me a shot of painkillers or give me, 15 pills that I can take that'll deaden the pain and I won't feel it, put me out there. It's tough. It's tough to, you got to make a decision. And the Packers made that decision, and now they're going to have to live with it.
Well, and unfortunately, it could be at a very, very extreme cost. I could see if it was a playoff game. I could see if it was the Super Bowl.
Right.
If it was game 1, I don't know why that happened. But we saw a lot of scratch your head moments in week 1, if you will. Certainly, plenty of surprises from huge performances like from Ryan Fitzpatrick and the Bucs went on the road to light up the Sins. To light up the Saints, who were certainly a trendy preseason Super Bowl pick. Sam Darnold and the Jets smashed Detroit in the mouth. I mean, literally smashed them in the mouth. Matt Patricia was just a guy with a pencil in his ear. Come on, nobody uses a pencil anymore. What the hell? I mean, what's going on here? I think the Lions thought their second coming of Jesus Christ was in Matt Patricia. Was it the beard? Did it throw them off? What happened? I mean, seriously.
Well, you know what? Listen, at least it was a pencil so he can erase all those mistakes that he had on his play card, right? If it was in pen, then he's kind of doomed. But at least he has an eraser where he can erase some of those plays that he called. But, yeah, that was disastrous. And, I wonder what Rick Riggin has to say about that. But, his Lions really got their heads handed to them. They look completely unprepared. But you know what? Look, Patricia had company. All those new coaches, 7 new coaches in the league this year, they all went 0-7, which was, it's an embarrassment for those organizations. But it's only one game. But Matt Patricia had, to me, his team the most unprepared of those 7 coaches. And that's a concern. That's going to be a big concern in Detroit.
Well, absolutely. And I was talking to Rick. Rick's got the week off. He's actually doing some work in his real job today. So we would have loved to talk some smack with him, but we will get that makeup game for sure. Obviously, we talked already about the Colts and the Bengals, but the most shocking may not be the right word. I think you and I texted about it. I've got some good friends, Kyle and Adam. One is a Browns fan and one is a huge Steelers fan, and both of the loudest in the room, and it just became crickets. I had to start a group text between the two of them, tried to stir the pot a little bit. The Cleveland Browns dropped their losing streak with a tie to the Pittsburgh Steelers. WTF, Mr. Ed? See what I did there? You like that?
Did your friends go? Did your friends go to the parade they had through the streets of Cleveland to celebrate that? I mean, did the rain finally stop? And that game was played in just horrible conditions. But fittingly, it ended in a tie. I mean, both teams had a shot to win it with a field goal in overtime, and the Steelers at least got their kick off. The kicker just shanked it to the right, I think, and then the Browns. I don't know what the heck that was. That never had a chance. I guess it was a jailbreak rush by the Steelers, and they blocked that kick. But it's a fitting end to a game that was exciting at times, and the Browns did some really nice things you can be encouraged about. But there's still a lot of concerns in Cleveland, and like I said, they have to go on the road in New Orleans, who I'm sure they're not too happy, but by putting up 40 points on the board and losing that game anyway against Tampa Bay, so they're going to be pretty fired up to win that game. They it's their second home game in a row. You only have 8 of them, and if you can't win your second one, you're going to be in trouble in New Orleans. So I don't like this matchup at all for Cleveland. I think the Saints are going to come out and put a hurting on them.
Well, joining us now is not the second coming of Jesus Christ, but it is Mo from the BS Sports Show. Mo, how are you, sir?
Good.
Well, you missed the whole reference. We were talking about how the second coming of Jesus Christ was Aaron Rodgers, and the Lions thought that Jesus Christ was in Matt Patricia. But it turns out he was just a guy with a beard with a pencil in his ear. So what are your thoughts? Week 1 going into week 2. Obviously, we saw a lot of big surprises, Mo. We've got Ed here with us, certainly beat writer for the Philadelphia Eagles, official contributor, NFL contributor to The Balance, and his new gig as well with Sports Exchange. But what are your thoughts week 1, sir?
I didn't watch any football. I was watching rugby. No, it was.
You're fired.
It was an interesting week. Covering the Browns. It was a weird finish to watch people walk out of that stadium and be somewhat happy yet confused. But it's the first time in like 14 years or something that they didn't lose on opening day. So. I thought the Browns did some good things. If I'm a Steelers fan, I'm probably a little worried. It looks like there's some dissension there in the ranks. But overall, a lot of things fell into place that we thought, and some of the teams that we thought were going to be better aren't better. The Saints losing to Tampa, I think, was a shock. I think, like Ed said, that the Browns could be in for a rude awakening when they travel to New Orleans tomorrow.
Okay, guys, so let's go ahead and get into week number 3. Let's talk about some of these games. Carolina at Atlanta. Atlanta's obviously looking to want to have a bounce back from a loss to the Philadelphia Eagles. Ed, what are your thoughts on Carolina at Atlanta as the Falcons were stifled by the Eagles? That's my word of the day, stifled.
I'm not really sure. Carolina, I know they beat the Cowboys 16-8 last week, but I don't know how good the Cowboys are. Carolina did not really impress me, although I will say I really like Christian McCaffrey in this game. I thought he looked a lot better, I thought, this year than he did as a rookie last year. Just, running the ball, he looks more powerful. I think he could have, even a better season than he did as a rookie. I was impressed with him. Their offensive line, though, Carolina is just completely banged up, and I know Atlanta's missing some key parts, too. They had kind of a rough go of it in Philadelphia. They lost their safety, Keanu Neal, but I love that backup, DeMonte Kazee. I really thought he looked great when he came in against the Eagles. But they're going to be without Dante Freeman, so that takes away, one of their backfield weapons, that Thunder and Lightning backfield with him and Tevin Coleman. But I still think Atlanta will find a way to win this game. It's at home. It's their home opener. They've had 10 days to prepare for it. It's a divisional game, and I like Atlanta to win this game.
Mo, let's. What are your thoughts? Obviously, the Panthers got a win against Dallas, and so the Panthers are ready to go 2-0 this week. What are your thoughts, the Panthers and the Falcons?
Well, I think the loss of Greg Olsen is going to hurt the Panthers offense a ton. If I'm Atlanta, we've got to figure out how to score in the red zone. I don't know if it's a combination of Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, and Steve Sarkisian. I'm not sure where the problem lies, but the Atlanta Falcons in the red zone have been terrible, carrying over from last year. So if I'm an Atlanta Falcons fan, I want to see the Falcons do more than drive the ball 80 yards and not be able to get in the end zone for a touchdown. At the end of the day, I agree with that. I think that Atlanta wins this game because I think that, again, the Panthers losing Greg Olsen is a big hurt.
And let's talk a little bit about the Chargers and the Buffalo Bills, if you will. Certainly a lot to talk about in this game as well. I still want to call them San Diego, but we'll just call them the Chargers. Got beat with big plays against the Chiefs, something that figures to be the norm with Kansas City. And I like where Kansas City's going. I like their quarterback. Kansas City, someone to keep your eyes on. And the Bills have had the worst roster in history, I think, and they are just miserable. So what are your thoughts on the Los Angeles Chargers and the Buffalo Bills?
It's always tough to come across country and find a win, and that's what the Chargers are doing. They're coming into Buffalo. But, boy, the Bills looked so bad last week. It's just hard to – it's hard to like anything that they did, but they still have Shady McCoy on that team as a run game. And here we are with the start of the Josh Allen era. I mean, it was probably a mistake starting Nathan Peterman last week. He really hasn't shown a whole lot. I don't know what Sean McDermott was thinking other than, let's give my rookie quarterback another week. And if Peterman can play well, maybe we can keep Allen on the bench for as long as possible. But, you saw what Sam Darnold did with the Jets, and now you're hoping that maybe Josh Allen can kind of jumpstart the Bills' offense. I'm not sure he can. The Chargers, meanwhile, like you said, they don't want to get too far behind the Chiefs in that AFC West. So I think the Chargers will find a way to get this win on the road.
Mo, what about the Chargers and the Buffalo Bills?
Well, I think you wonder at times just what the hell the front office in Buffalo is doing along with Sean McDermott, their coach. This looks like a team to where they are seriously lacking at quarterback. Obviously, this would be a game that I would assume that had they not traded him, that A.J. McCarron would probably be starting. The movement of Tyrod Taylor, just the way they wanted to move him out last year and then moving him in the offseason, it baffles my mind. And normally when teams travel across the country like this, the point spread is very small, but the Chargers are giving 7.5 points. Normally I would never bet on a team going cross country, but I actually put my money today I put it down for the Chargers tomorrow, giving 7.5 points on the road cross country at Buffalo. Buffalo's terrible. I think the Chargers win the game.
We'll stick with you, Mo, here on this one. We talked a little bit, Ed and I talked a little bit about what maybe have been the biggest mistake the Green Bay Packers could have made, even though it was a fantastic win. It was for the record books. I mean, there was a lot of positives on Sunday Night Football that everybody talked. If you wanted to make the highlight reels on Sunday night, you did it. But now they've got the Minnesota Vikings with the backup quarterback. Did the Green Bay Packers make a mistake in letting Aaron Rodgers play? And then what are your thoughts on the Minnesota Vikings at Green Bay?
I mean, if what was said was true by the doctors that he couldn't do any more damage to it than he already did, it's hard to fight a star player like that when they want to go back in the game at times. Aaron Rodgers came out and did what he does. He does amazing things, to win football games. I think the biggest thing you saw from the Bears was they tired out in that second half, especially a guy like Khalil Mack who hadn't been on the football field, tired out. But, the Packers came back and won the football game. I think that regardless of how Aaron Rodgers feels, you sit him out this football game. You look at the big picture instead of just the here and now against the Minnesota Vikings. I know he wants to play, but if I'm on the Packers, I'm sitting Aaron Rodgers this week to give him another week of rest. The Vikings they came out and did what we expected them to do. We expected Kirk Cousins getting paid all that money to lead the Vikings to a win, and they did, and they're probably the team to beat in this division. I like the Vikings tomorrow.
Ed, what are your thoughts on Minnesota at Green Bay?
Well, yeah, it's hard to like Green Bay with anybody playing quarterback other than Aaron Rodgers. I know the Packers get a lot of acclaim and love that could be the team to go to the Super Bowl, but to me, they're still Aaron Rodgers, and without Aaron Rodgers, they're really not much. And even with Aaron Rodgers, I still question whether they have the personnel that can get it done, defensively especially. Like Mo said, the Vikings did what they had to do last week. Kirk Cousins came in, threw some points up. Dalvin Cook got on the field again. Good to see him back after his ACL injury last year. And that Vikings defense is very good. Everson Griffin is a handful to block. And I just don't think the Packers are going to be able to hang with the Vikings in this one. I think the Vikings will win pretty easily.
And let's go down to the AFC South, obviously a division that I watch very, very closely. A very trendy preseason sleeper pick to reach the Super Bowl. Houston started its season with a thud against New England. There's no shame in losing to the Patriots, as we very well know. That happens quite a lot, especially if the footballs are not inflated properly, but that's neither here nor there. Especially in their building. But it couldn't have been but it could have been more I guess where I'm going at with is Deshaun Watson. He just didn't seem like he was there. Houston at Tennessee. What are your thoughts? The Tennessee Titans are not the Patriots. But what are your thoughts, Houston at Tennessee?
Yeah, well, Tennessee kind of